in the community. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I call the Honourable Member Jonathan Young.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm very pleased to stand and speak on the Corrections Amendment Bill 2011, which contains 50 legislative amendments which are aimed to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of our corrections system. Mr. Speaker, I'm very pleased to hear my colleague speak about the advancement and the improvement of the corrections system under this national-led government. We know that in February 2009, just months after the change of government, following 9 years of the previous administration, that the Auditor General published an independent performance audit report. The report concluded that the cumulative effect of the levels of non-compliance with the Department of Corrections procedures undermined the Department's ability to protect the public. And we have seen over these last 3 years many improvements in their compliance and in what they have done to protect New Zealanders. So much so that positive random drug tests of prisoners are at their lowest. As my colleague said, public confidence has increased by 53%, not at 53%, but increased by 53%. Prisoners have achieved 100,000 NZQA credits in literacy and numeracy. So there are many programs being undertaken in our correction facilities that are bringing some very positive changes to the prisoners' lives and also to the safety of those who are instructed to run those facilities. We all know that the vast majority of inmates who are in prison will one day re-enter society, and that is a challenging goal that we can assist prisoners to enter or re-enter society successfully. It's true that this can be quite a challenge if a prisoner has a drug habit or is alcoholic. These addictions contribute significantly to the mental health issues which many prisoners have. Therefore, having laws and regulations that effectively assist corrections officers to detect drug taking is incredibly important for the physical and the mental well-being of the prisoner, for the safety of corrections staff, and for the improved ability for a prisoner to be able to reintegrate into society once they are released. Prisoners who become free from drug and alcohol dependency and all that fosters in their lives will be less violent in society in which they re-enter. So overall, current legislation provides a sound framework on our corrections system, but there are some amendments in this amendment bill that are going to bring further tools. It's going to, for example, make it an offence for prisoners to waterload before drug testing. For those who may not know what that means, simply it is the extensive intake of fluids to simply dilute a prisoner's urine prior to taking a drug test. That will become an offence, so that prison officers, when they do this drug test, are able to detect drug taking. And once drug taking is detected, then put in programs to help that prisoner come off dependency. That's a very important aspect of their rehabilitation process. Another aspect of this amendment bill is that it will allow prisoners to work, in a sense, self-employed in a prison facility. At the moment, there are currently no provisions in the Act that expressly provide for prisoners to be self-employed in prison or allow deductions to be made from monies earned by a prisoner from self-employment while they are in prison. Apart from reducing the cost to the taxpayer by a prisoner contributing to his or her board, but also contributing to reparation or childcare, these savings are important for the taxpayer. We know there's an incredible ballooning cost to corrections, but it's also important because it's starting to bring the responsibility of a prisoner to contribute to the aspects of their life and the consequences of what they have done, whether that be reparation or whether that be child care. We live in a society, Mr. Speaker, where skills are essential. Low skills equals low income. And getting education skill training is imperative for people to become socially mobile. As I said before, prisoners have achieved 108,000 NZQA credits in literacy and numeracy in 2010 and 11. There's a very strong program to lift educational skills in our prisoner population. Added to skill building, developing a strong work ethic is an integral part of building a positive self-esteem that once again works towards a successful reintegration. So, Mr. Speaker, there are many aspects of this amendment bill that are going to work very positively for our prisoner population. Positively not only for their sense of well-being and their health in a prison facility, but as they leave that facility and become integrated into society, to be free from drug and alcohol addiction, to have some skills, to have some self-esteem, to have a work ethic that these amendments will enable to be built is going to be something very positive for these people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I call the Honourable Member Asanati Lole Taylor.